It's your favorite YouTuber, guys, DS Learn Finance, financial educating you guys to freedom for the beginners by a former beginner every Sunday at 3 p.m. Having great cash flow is vital for anyone to survive, let alone company. You see, if person A has to pay £1,000 worth of bills on the first of every month, and they also get paid £1,000, but it falls on the second, the following day, even though they may theoretically have enough to cover their bills, they're still going to find themselves £1,000 in debt each and every time it's due because of their poor cash flow. However, if they were to change their billing date so that it falls on the third of every month, then they'll instantly be in a better cash flow scenario. And even better than that, guys, if they were to significantly reduce their bills down to £100 each and every month, then they would have they will have a great cash flow. This is what good cash flow looks like. Cash flow is literally everything when it comes to assessing the financial health of a company. You see, it's not just about having enough money to cover your expenses. It's about also the timing being right, guys, and having the right, correct, positive type of cash flow. The cash flow statement is the third and final document that I have to talk to you guys about that each and every stock in the London Stock Exchange has to produce at least once each and every year. And the interesting thing about the cash flow statement is that it's actually made using elements from the balance sheet and elements from the income statement to make this powerful financial document. This means that if both documents are good for a stock, then you're likely to have a good cash flow statement. But on the flip side, guys, if just one of these documents is bad, then it can pull the cash flow statement down too. If you guys need help on how to read a balance sheet and an income statement, then I've left down the description box links to the last 2 stock videos where I explained just that, people. But this week's video is all about the cash flow statement. Before we get into it though, you know what you have to do. You have to leave a like, share this video and subscribe with the notification bell on if you haven't done so already. But onto the cash flow statement. Here we have the Royal Bank of Scotland's, RBS's for short, cash flow statement. Every cash flow statement, including this one, is split into 4 important sections as I look at it. Cash flows from the operating activities, investing activities, and financing activities, and finally the net decrease/increase in cash and cash equivalents. With cash flow being calculated as the money in minus the money out relative to each section, you see when it comes to a good cash flow statement, what I look for is a positive net cash flow from operating activities along with negative net cash flows from both the investing and financing activities. Now, I know some of you will push back and be thinking, why are you looking for positive cash flows? That makes sense, but the negative ones don't make any sense. But the real reason lies in what each and every one of these terms actually represents. You see, the operating activities are effectively the short-term tasks that a company has to do on a daily basis for them to operate. So things such as paying their employees, making sure that they meet their aims and objectives, and also ensuring that the company makes a profit at the end of the day, all of these things come under the task of operating activities. This is why it needs to be positive, because this is the very foundation upon which this business needs to be good in order to survive. Whilst investing activities are kind of like long-term based projects that a company has put money aside to pursue that. You see, a scary thing for a stock to do is to not invest. Why? Because complacency can kick in. And when complacency kicks in like that, guys, a front-running stock can be easily left behind by their competitors. So when a stock has a negative net cash flow from its investing activities, what it's actually saying is that the stock is putting money down to invest. Whilst if a stock has a positive cash flow, what it's basically implying is that a stock actually wants to sell off its investment so that they can recoup some money back. And it then sparks the question, why are they doing that? This is kind of like you buying a phone and then realizing after a while that you can't actually pay your bills. So what you decide to do is sell your phone. Now, the problem with this is that, one, you only have a finite number of phones to actually sell. So what happens when you run out of phones to sell those months, even next month? What do you do then? And also, two, you're unlikely to get all the money that you actually spent on that phone. Now, if it's a really new phone and you're selling it straight after, then maybe you might be able to revamp up a good amount. But it's very hard to get what you spent on initially. And this is a problem with a positive net cash flow from investing activities. And the financing activity refers to the changes in equity and the long-term debt for that stock. You see, when this is negative, when it has a negative cash flow, it tends to have a good look associated with it. It can be down to one of the three positive things that the stock is trying to do. One, it can mean the stock is trying to buy back some of its shares from its investors. This will in turn push the price of the stock upwards because effectively it's rarer. This is kind of like coronavirus and hand sanitizers. When coronavirus hit us, the price for hand sanitizer shot through the roof, like £5 to £10 for a small bottle of hand sanitizer, when before that it was just a fraction of the price. This was down to a lack of supply for the high demand for the hand sanitizer, which in turn pushed the price up. This is kind of what happens in the stock market as well. What a stock is basically saying when they buy back their shares is that, look, as an investor, thank you for investing in us, but we no longer need your money anymore because we're making enough money to buy your shares back now. And what that in essence does is it provides an aura of confidence to the investor to say, okay, this company must be making some serious money. They don't need to rely on us that much, which in turn pushes the share price up too. The second thing it can also mean is that a stock is paying its dividends. Now, a stock paying its dividend is a good look. Why? Because it basically means free money for investors to receive. So, of course, that in turn is going to also push the share price up too. And the third and final thing is that it could show that a stock is trying to pay back its principal debt. So pay back some of its lenders. This is a good look to the public. This is why you would want a negative net cash flow from financing activities as opposed to a positive one, which could indicate a company's reliance on investors' money in order to survive, an inability to pay dividends, and also the stock potentially taking out more debts too. Not a good look to have, trust me. But as you can see, RBS's cash flow is different, guys. All three of the net cash flows from the operating, investing, and financing activities are shown in brackets, meaning that they are negative values. In turn, this leads to the net decrease/increase in cash and cash equivalents also being negative, when in actuality, what I look for is this value to only be positive, but more than able to cover the total negative cash flows several times over. Yes, they may have huge cash and cash equivalents at the start of the year to save them, but don't let this mislead you into thinking this is sustainable. If they don't fix this up, it's only a matter of time for them to run into some financial issues. This is why I like to focus on the net decrease/increase in cash and cash equivalents rather than the cash and cash equivalents at the end of the year, because this way a stock cannot hide behind their huge cash reserves. It tells me whether the stock's cash flow statement is truly a good one or not. And the best thing is now you guys can also tell the difference too. That is all I've got to say, people, before you go out and find some terrific stocks to invest in, because now you know how to read the free financial documents from watching this video and my last 2 stock videos down in the description box below. I need you guys to smash that like button, share this video, and subscribe with the notification bell on if you haven't done that already. Above everything, have a good day, people. It's your favorite YouTuber, guys, DS11 Finance, financially educating you guys to freedom. For the beginners, buy from beginner every Sunday at 3 p.m. Bye, guys. DS Learning Finance.
Whoa.